good morning to you. Welcome to the PinkUn vlog. You may be able to recognise the surroundings around me. I'm in Norwich train station. We're heading on the train to Brighton today, so that's going to be an exciting one. Just waiting for Dave, Paddy and Tony to turn up first here. Of course, we've got the Rugby World Cup final as well this morning. England playing South Africa. I'm not a massive lover of rugby, and by massive lover I mean I don't really like it, but each their own, I suppose. So no doubt we'll be subjected to a bit of that on the train, but we shall see how we get on. It's a 9 o'clock London-Liverpool to London, and then we'll try and make our way down to Brighton from there. Going with this at the moment, watching the Rugby World Cup final on the train. Dave, it's not going too great for England at the moment, is it? You're a bit more knowledgeable on rugby than me, but even I can tell it's proving a little bit difficult.
18-12. What minute are we in? 60 minutes, so 20 minutes to go. I think we're going to reach Liverpool Street. Yeah, we're just going through Stratford, so we're definitely not going to see it out on here. But yeah, I don't know. South Africa seem to have had the better of us most of the game, so it's not looking good. But we'll see. Show them the glamorous setup we've actually got watching it.
Just see. It's on there. That's probably as close as I can get to it. But it's literally a phone rested on one of the what do you call them, like little table.
That's just how you want to watch the Rugby World Cup final, isn't it? So,
exactly.
Come on, England.
Not too much longer to go. Hopefully they can pull something out of the bag. But it's been quite a difficult game, I think, for England. But we shall see. As Dave said, we're very close to London. Or a small bit of delay because of a balloon overhead, which is classic, isn't it? What more can you expect on the Norwich away? In London, just at Farringdon Station, seems like England's Rugby World Cup dream is over. South Africa running away with it now, seemingly. So no replication of 2003, where they of course won, more like 2007 where they didn't. So tough day for them. That is our train there. That one there. 4 minutes. Not a bad journey at all, that. You can just see Dave behind me there, but we are in the Amex Stadium. Haven't been able to vlog too much outside the ground. In particular, we sort of arrived and we were greeted with some torrential downpour. So glad to say now that my trousers are stuck to my legs, and that we are we're in a lovely position here. But I mean, if there is any torrential rain, then we could be in some serious trouble. And the old laptop here, which I'm having to rest on a notepad so it doesn't get damaged and we don't do any damage to the battery, is in serious risk. But the game is, well, we're about 20-15 minutes to kick off now. Norwich City, of course, lining up. Alex Tettey comes in at centre-back, 3 changes. Marco Stiefman back in the side. And also Onel Hernandez, who I'm reliably informed turned up at the team hotel at 2 AM after the birth of his baby girl, well, sort of around tea time apparently. So quite a late night for Onel. We'll see how that translates in terms of performance, but if he does score, then it's a very interesting narrative. I'll switch you around in the next video so you'll be able to see the setup that we've got here. It's a lovely stadium, I must admit. I've never been to the Amex before. Of course, they won here last week against Everton 3-2, quite a last-gasp winner. I'm just hoping the weather holds out, and we can also hope that the Norwich City performance is a good one. There are Norwich fans just outside. As you can see, really nice surroundings here. The tunnel, that's just the top of the tunnel there. A lovely, lovely stadium, the Amex. To give you a perspective of just the rainfall that's fell here, look at that. I mean, that is basically what I'm sitting in. Maybe I'll see just the plastic covering I've got there to keep myself. But I'm essentially standing in what is a swimming pool. If I took my socks off, I'd have a bit of a paddle there. But there you go. Half time here at the Amex. You can see I am just about still dry. The rain has eased off slightly, wasn't as torrential as it was earlier. Still drizzling down, I'd say, but not enough to impact me as of yet. It is half time, score 0-0, despite a late flurry of Brighton chances, and there was quite a few of them. It's been, again, a bit of a disjointed half for Norwich because they've looked quite threatening on the counter-attack and defensively looked poor as well. It's been interesting. We have Marco Stiefman hit the bar. That's the closest Norwich have come to a goal. Brighton have had a few chances towards the end. That half, Neil Morpay seeing numerous shots either blocked or going wide. And again, Norwich look a little bit stretched defensively. Everything that's sort of arisen has come as their own downfall, really, because in the left back position, in the right back position, they're working the ball to those areas and getting pressed so intensely that they're either losing the ball or just launching it along and Brighton are regaining possession. So not in terms of style, perhaps what we're used to with this Norwich side, but it's not been a terrible half. Still second best, probably comfortably second best as well in terms of possession, in terms of chances as well. Brighton will probably consider themselves unlucky not to be ahead. They probably should be ahead as well, had it not been for a mixture of heroic defending and poor finishing. Just seems to me, Tetty at centre-back getting caught out a little bit positionally, falling into the Amadou trap, really going to close the ball when actually needs to prioritise tracking the runner. So, interesting. Bright starts, low points I suppose as well, but crucially they're not losing the football match. The longer they can keep themselves in it, and we saw it just towards the end of this first half, this crowd is getting a little bit frustrated. Norwich now need to make one of their counter-attacks pay, and that's through not overusing the ball, as Buendia and Steepman have done on a few occasions, and actually converting that possession and that liveliness they've had on the break to actually clear-cut chances, and that's the bit of the moment for me. But yeah, not a terrible half, not a particularly great half. Brighton should be ahead. Welcome to the Amex Stadium, the battleground in which Norwich City suffered their 5th Premier League defeat on the road of the season, and of course failed to break their 500-minute record of failing to score on the road. As I said, those stats quite well obvious as to where Norwich City are struggling at the moment. And to be honest, this was a game that Brighton probably should have won by more, could have won by a bigger margin. The first half in particular, there was a late flurry of chances, and a combination of poor finishing and heroic defending ensured that the Canaries weren't behind at the break. But second half it all came undone. I mean, Brighton were beginning to toy with Norwich anyway, just down this end behind me here. It was wave after wave of attack, then Norwich City couldn't defend for as long as they would have wanted. It was a Martin Montoya cross, lovely ball in. Trossard gets there ahead of the Norwich City defender. I think it's Ben Godfrey to put the ball in the back of the net, and the second is farcical, to be honest. Brighton set up for a free kick. Norwich City then elect to make 2 changes, bring on I think it was Cantwell and Shrabeni at that point, and basically lose all of their organisation in the middle of the pitch, and the ball comes in again from substitute Trossard, lovely ball in, and Shane Duffy's there just lunging in at the back post to divert the ball into the bottom corner. And as soon as that goal comes in, Ben Godfrey storms up to the touchline and says to Daniel Farke, who's playing in the free. Of course, Norwich then switched to a defensive free, and the message hadn't got to Ben Godfrey as to who was playing there. So organisation, again, a bit of naivety there. But this was another really concerning performance. There were shades in the first half that Norwich City could influence a Premier League game from an attacking sense, at least. They had a few promising passages of play, but ultimately it fell to Marco Steepman and Emi Buendia, who's just played one too many touches ultimately, and they couldn't really convert that possession into chances. And from there, they really just defended and held on for dear life for the majority of the game, to be honest. As I said earlier on, a combination of poor finishing from the likes of Neil Maupay, Aaron Connolly, who was fantastic today, of course a young Irish striker here at Brighton. I think he's been capped for Ireland now by Mick McCarthy. Probably should have had a goal, if not 2. And from there, Norwich really struggled to get a grip of the game, struggled to get any momentum. And to be quite frank, they've conceded 20 plus shots again today. If that continues and they can't prevent teams basically attacking them at will, and they can't create opportunities, then they're going to get relegated, and that's going to be terminal. And this is going to be a long, hard season for them, because what's daunting is the fact we're 11 games in and there are no tangible signs from Norwich City that they can create an uplift here. They just look like, to me, when they're on the ball, the pace, the tempo of everything that they do looks slower than their opponents, and they lack quality going forward to really influence games from an attacking point of view, and they don't have that steel and that grit to really dig in and defend well enough. And fundamentally, that's the bottom line. And if you do that over a season, then the likelihood is you're going to get relegated. And that is where Norwich City seemingly are heading. And of course, it seems absurd to be saying that 11 games in. But from what we've seen, particularly in the last 5 games, ever since that Manchester City win, which is looking increasingly more like a fluke, to be honest, is Norwich not being able to adapt to their surroundings, not being able to assert themselves onto fixtures. As you see, the rain is coming down now, so you'll have to apologise if I start shaking. It is pretty cold here in Sussex. But yeah, Norwich City struggling to adapt within games and struggling to impact games with their formation. I don't feel like defensively that they've got enough to prevent teams really creating chances, and they've not got enough to take control of games at the moment. They're almost being worked into the areas of the pitch that their opponents want them to be worked into. It's not a case of Norwich City being in control of the play in or out of possession, and that's a major concern as well. And what we've seen really is them not really sticking to their philosophy either. It's not particularly a team that wants to play out from the back and build. It's a team that is being pressed into areas and giving the ball away, and that is a massive that's to their detriment at the moment, because they cannot work out a solution and a combination and a balance that allows them to be defensively resilient but also potent going forward. And at the moment they're ineffective at both. They're not particularly great on the counter-attack. They lack pace. Hernandez certainly added some for the early period of the game, but he seemed to run out of steam, and they just leak oil far too often and far too much. And I mean, Brighton's goal was probably coming from on the stroke of half time until they eventually got the first goal, which I think is about the 67th minute. I'm sure I can be stood corrected on that one. But the reality is they've got to come to stadiums like this, and this is no disrespect to Brighton, but prior to kick-off they were sitting just above that relegation zone, and if Norwich have any aspirations of staying in the Premier League, these are the grounds they have to come to and get points, whether that's grinding them out, whether that's nicking a win or whatever. But at the moment they're incapable of doing either, and that is becoming increasingly concerning, because as I said, at the moment it looks pretty terminal for Norwich City, and it looks like a quick route back to the Championship. And Friday night they face Watford, who are playing as we speak, as I record this video, against Chelsea, and that is looking like an increasingly massive fixture for Norwich City in what is their hope for Premier League survival. And if they can get one win, then maybe this kick-starts things. And it's worth noting in the 10th minute, just down this end here, as you can see, Marco Steepman actually hit the bar. Pukki found him beautifully, lovely spin in behind, caught, I think it was Adam Webster out at that point, got in behind, found Steepman, lovely curling effort, but again just hit the bar. Yeah, I think those away fans who sat just in this end over here will be very concerned at what they saw tonight. And to me, Norwich City are in desperate need of some just needs something to freshen them up, whether that's a system, whether that's an approach, whether that's personnel, I don't know. And we can talk about injuries till the cows come home, but ultimately those injuries are long term, and unless Norwich find solutions, we're going to be looking at a long dance back to the Championship, I think. And yeah, that's pretty damning to be fair, and it's probably the most critical I've been of this Norwich City team. But fundamentally, they weren't good enough today, and it's a concerning performance. And before I finish, we've got to give some praise to Brighton, as I'm getting absolutely drenched now. As you can probably see, the rain has fallen. I better go and rescue my laptop in a moment. But yeah, Brighton were excellent today, played some really slick football, pressed Norwich in key areas, profited from Norwich's mistakes in the back line, created numerous opportunities. As I said, 2-0 flatters Norwich, to be honest, and Brighton should have won by a lot more. But there you go, that is your report from myself. Sorry, it's a bit shaky. As I say, it's freezing, so you'll have to forgive me slightly, and I've not got any touchscreen gloves, so yeah, there you go. That's it from me in Sussex. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the PinkUn app, on YouTube and on Instagram as well. Can Norwich readdress this little run of form they've got, and can you see them staying up?